this meeting to order. If you would please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Mrs. Higgins,
President Purcell.
would you do a roll call?
I will. Mayor Dietman.
Present.
Vice President Bolton.
Here.
Councilman Capabianco.
Here.
Councilman Long.
Here.
Councilman Sidlow.
Here.
Councilwoman Guy.
Here.
Mr. Powers is not here. Councilman Swigert is not here. Solicitor Wells.
Here.
Engineer Catania.
Here.
Chief Murray.
Here.
And Mr. Pacetta.
Here.
You do have a quorum.
Thank you. Council's had a minute to review the minutes of the previous meeting. What's your pleasure, please?
Make a motion to pass last month's minutes.
Any questions on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? So moved. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go out of the normal order of business to swear in a new officer, Mayor Dietman, and I'd like to ask Officer Mitchell August to come up. And do you have somebody to hold the Bible for you?
I do.
Bring him along.
Madam President, if I can, I'll just tell you a little bit about Mitch. Mitch is a resident of Fairless Hills in Bucks County. He's 26 years old. He's engaged to Kylie Logan, who I believe is going to hold the Bible tonight. Mitch graduated in December of 2016 from the Delaware County Municipal Police Academy and has been certified by the Municipal Police Officers Education and Training Commission to be a police officer in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. He has some previous experience in Darby, Collingdale, and Brookhaven boroughs. So we welcome Mitch. Mr. Mayor, if you do
Thank
the
you,
honors.
Chief. How's it going? You ready? I state your name.
I, Mr. August,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support,
I will support,
obey,
obey,
and defend
and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the Commonwealth.
and the Constitution of the
And
Commonwealth.
I will discharge
I will discharge
the duties of a part-time police officer
the duties of part-time police officer
for the Borough of Parkside
for the Borough of Parkside
with fidelity.
with fidelity.
Sworn and subscribed before me this 28th day of July, 2021. Thomas G. Dietman, Mayor. Congratulations, Officer. Welcome.
If anybody is here with the officer and would like to leave at this time, please feel free to do so. I will ask that everyone in the audience please mute all cell phones. Is anybody taping this meeting? Masks are optional, and I would ask that anyone texting, unless it's an emergency, would please refrain from doing so. Mrs. Higgins?
Councilman Swigert texted me, said he's stuck in traffic and would text a brief report, so if I may indulge in the comes through.
Did he leave you his report?
He said he was gonna text it.
Okay. That works.
Sorry.
Correspondence, Mrs. Higgins, do you have anything?
I do. This is money that came in through this office during the month of June. Licenses and inspections, $8,753. From the police department for parking tickets and reports, $150. A.J. Gallagher, a return in our insurance premium of $9,506.25. From Joseph P. Paceni Jr., donation towards the borough's scholarship for a senior, $250. State police fines, $347.74. Recorder of deeds, $2,748.90. And from the Hometown Hero Project, $1,675. Under tax collector, Ed Fisher, $16,924.59. And the tax claim bureau, $4,234.08. And from district court, $145.33. for a total income during June of $44,734.89, which does not include the earned income tax or the LST tax. And that's all I have.
That was quick.
Uh-huh.
Does anybody have any questions for Mrs. Higgins? Moving on to the mayor's report. Mayor Dugan.
Thank you, Madam President. Good evening, citizens. Good evening, council. The mayor's report for 1 January of 2021 to 1 June 2021 to June 30, 2021. There were 6 crimes reported in June. 1 motor vehicle theft, 1 theft from a motor vehicle, and I'm told by the chief that it was an unlocked motor vehicle. 2 criminal mischief, 1 fraud, 1 sexual assault. 119 calls for service. The most prevalent calls: 4 suspicious persons, 3 alarms, 28 assist other agencies, 7 neighbor disputes, and 8 domestics. There were no automobile accidents, which is saying something, being the history of the borough with so many automobile accidents recently. There were 25 traffic details, 10 motor vehicle stops, 2 traffic citations, and 4 warnings issued. And that's the mayor's report. And let me go on to our quarterly report from the fire company.
Please.
To Honorable Shirley Percival, President of Parkside Borough Council, from Thomas G. Dietman, Treasurer of Parkside Fire Company. 28 July 2021, the quarterly report of funds received from Parkside Borough. Madam President, in compliance with Commonwealth law, this report will serve to fulfill the fire company's responsibility to advise Borough Council of the use of funding received from the organization. As you are aware, the Parkside Fire Company is under no requirement to report any additional finances other than what is received from the borough. A check in the amount of $24,375 was received from the borough, representing the second quarter's 2021 stipend. This check was deposited in the Bryn Mawr Trust General Account on 2 July 2021. These funds will be used to pay for general operating expenses of the Parkside Fire Company. On behalf of the officers and members of the Parkside Fire Company, please accept my sincere thanks for the Borough Council's generosity. Thomas G. Dietman, Treasurer of Parkside Fire Company.
Thank you, Mayor. Does anybody on council have any questions for the mayor? Hearing none, I will move on to call to citizens concerning agenda items only. If you would like to address council on agenda items only, if you would come to the podium and give your name and your address. Agenda items only. I see somebody hesitating back there. You're all right? Okay. Moving on to the president's report. I would ask everybody's patience. Just a reminder to council, please think budgets for those committees that have a budget. And also, we will be holding budget meetings in September and October, which I will announce at the August council meeting. Ms. Catania and I attended a virtual pre-construction meeting for the CDBG project for the addition of the lights on Edgemont Avenue, which has started. The lights in the woodlot have been repaired, and I'd like to thank PICO for this. We have applied for a 2021 Healing the Planet grant for the West Cole War Memorial, which will help with the landscaping and various other projects to this park. As I previously mentioned, we have had more graffiti in the woodlot, and the police are diligently monitoring this area. Speaking of the woodlot, I would like council as a whole to think about the dedication for the woodlot, Ford Trail, a date, refreshments, and we can further discuss this at our August meeting. I would really like to see this done in the fall of this year. The FOP contract negotiations are ongoing, and we will be meeting with them in the middle of August. More insurance policies have been reviewed for accuracy. Various improvements that we have made on our properties through the grants have been added to these projects and policies, and I'd like to thank Mrs. Higgins for dealing with this matter. Council has held a special council meeting on July 21st to discuss the American Rescue Relief Funds. Numerous projects were voted on by council. Unfortunately, and I am sure our engineer will delve into this matter with her report, we are facing a major expense of well over $150,000 for repairs of an inlet pipe underground from West Elbon to Forest View Road under Edgemont Avenue. I will recommend and entertain a motion that all projects except for the police department air conditioning unit as a whole project that may or may not compose of attic fans, wiring, etc., be placed on hold. I will entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any questions on the motion?
Why aren't we canceling everything?
Because if indeed this project is well over $150,000, we can use the American Relief money for infrastructure repair, and that will be an enormous help to the public budget.
Right, but why aren't we canceling all projects? Why are we picking and choosing what we're keeping and not keeping?
Well, I think at the special council meeting on the 21st, we felt, as a majority of council felt, that the number one project should be keeping the air conditioning and the heating unit for the police officers who are in full equipment and keeping their comfort as number one. And that's why I have entertained a motion to do that.
Well, I think if we're canceling, we should cancel everything, not just, if we have such a major emergency, we should cancel everything and not cancel some things.
Roll call vote.
As we said during the July 21st meeting, our priority should be with our police officers to have air conditioning and heat. And there's no excuse for our municipality not to do that for them. Is there any other questions on the motion? Mrs. Higgins, will you do a roll call vote?
Councilwoman Guy?
Yes. I'm sorry?
Councilman, she said yes. Councilman Sidlaw?
Yes.
Councilman Swigert is not here. Councilman Long?
Yes.
Councilman Capabianco?
Yes.
Vice President Bolt?
Yes.
President Percival?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Just as a legislative update, legislation to eliminate school property taxes has been proposed by State Senator DeSanto and Representative Stombaugh. Revenues to the school would be directly taken from the state and local income taxes. This bill must pass the Senate and the House by 2 consecutive sessions to be placed on the ballot. School taxes are especially difficult on seniors and others who are on fixed incomes and limited incomes. A resident mentioned solar panels to be placed onto our streetlights. I have done some research on this subject to get a handle on the financial and the construction end of this idea. I will use some general figures for my calculations, such as we've been told that we have 130 to 135 streetlights. I have used the figure of 132 streetlights. Also, it has been reported that we spend $16,000 a year out of our liquid fuel to operate our streetlights. My research information is from 2020, so I do not know if these prices have gone up or down. First of all, I found out that the battery life is approximately 5 to 7 years per pole, and it would cost about $1,000 per pole to replace these batteries, or $132,000 every 5 or 7 years, or 8.25 years of electric bill to pay for the batteries. Moving on to the solar panels. The placement of these panels on our lights is not necessarily an easy task. The condition of the poles, placement of the brackets, are all that is needed to be considered. Also, new poles may be needed to replace some of our older ones. Of course, we all know if you replace a pole, we're looking at the cost of the pole, underground or above head wiring, conduits, etc. If no new pole is needed, just various brackets, with no issues, no problems. The average cost is $2,000 per pole. 132 lights would equate to $264,000, or 16.5 years to recoup our funds on that, using again the figure of $16,000 is what we pay PECO to turn on those lights. I am not counting the cost of batteries to replace in any of my calculations. If we have an additional bracket, several poles to be replaced, an additional cost, the minimum would be $4,800. 132 lights would equate to $633,600, or 39.6 years to recoup our fee back. I have done one more calculation, which seems to be middle of the road. An average cost, according to the statistics that I have read, is $3,200 times 132 lights would equate to $422,000, or 26.4 years to recoup our expenses, versus paying PECO $16,000 a year to turn on these lights. So I wanted to take that moment to address the young lady who suggested this, that we use solar panels, so that we had an idea statistically of financially and how long it would take to recoup our money. Lastly, council is under certain specific laws that govern us, procedures and protocols. Protocols that were established decades ago for our council in regards to eliminating tax dollars being spent foolishly. Numerous times in the last 19 months, a specific subject has come up and has been discussed at length in regards to the decade-old protocol issues. A specific issue of protocol in which members of council will contact either the vice president, the secretary, or the president with any questions or concerns before they go to our professional staff, thus saving tax dollars. It's been discussed numerous times. This has been discussed on December 7th, 2019, January 1st, 2020, January 6th, 2020, February 26th, 2020, March 2nd, 2020, March 25th, 2020, April 17th, 2020, April 22nd, 2020, October 6th, 2020, July 27th, 2021. This issue has been placed in the official minutes on April 22nd, 2020. A motion was made and passed officially to accept this protocol so that there will be no misunderstanding of this set protocol or the intent of council to enforce it at the October 28th, 2020 council meeting. The term censure or sanction is a formal way to show displeasure or disapproval of one's conduct or disregarding a set protocol. At this time, I will entertain a motion to censure Mr. Sidlow, who went to a member of our professional staff to request specific information for himself alone on a councilmatic subject without contacting any member of council or Linda, and with disrespect to fellow council members, a lack of financial responsibility, and a total disregard for our set protocol. I will entertain a motion.
I can make that motion.
I'll second it.
Any questions on the motion? Mrs. Higgins, will you do a roll call?
Councilwoman Guy?
No.
Councilman Sidlow has to abstain, is that correct?
Correct.
I think I choose when I abstain, you don't choose when I abstain, so I vote no.
I believe, Mr. Sidlow, you have to abstain.
I do not abstain.
Well, what do you do?
I
Our
vote no.
solicitor will answer that question.
Because Mr. Sidlow has a personal interest in the subject matter that is at the heart of the motion, protocol, procedure, and also Commonwealth law generally requires that he or she would abstain from that particular motion.
Mr. Sidlow abstains as far as recommendation of our solicitor.
Councilman Swider is not here. Councilman Long.
Yes.
Councilman Capabianco.
Yes.
Vice President Ball.
Yes.
President Percival.
Yes,
Motion carried.
thank you. Ladies and gentlemen of the audience, thank you for bearing with me. I know tonight my report was lengthy. And I will move on to police public safety. Councilman Capabianco.
Thank you, Madam President. Our emergency vehicles underwent their general maintenance for the month. For code violations, there were 2 other grown grass and weeds issues, 1 litter issue. And my office has entered in with the ARD Community Service Unit. The District Attorney's Office has contacted my office to put the Borough of Parkside on its organizations list to be used in their program. And I already had 2 recruits, and we got a yes from the District Attorney's Office, so we can use community service here now, and it'll be run by my office. For Public Works, the Borough building and the 2 police vehicles have been sanitized for the month, and that's all I have.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
Would you further explain to the public and those that are not aware of how community service works in
Sure.
general? Just a brief outline.
Sure. The nature of the services will be cleaning, yard work, clinical, animal care, sorting, etc. Also, if there was any special tasks that we need to have done and recruits have it, like building or painting and stuff like that, they will actually call me up and I would set things up here in the building to have it done. And that'll be like the graffiti in the woodlot. And that's all under my supervision, so I had to be there at all times when we had the recruits
And
there.
they will contact you directly?
Yes.
Super. Does anybody have any questions for Councilman on that subject? Would you like to move on to Public Works and Property? Or is that it?
I did all right. I did that all right.
Does anybody have any questions for Councilman Capabianco? The ordinance, since Councilman Schwager is stuck in traffic, Vice President, do you want to read the ordinances for him, and we'll keep on moving? I'm sorry, resolution. I have his ordinances.
Thank you, Madam President. Resolution 1835, resolution of the Borough of Parkside setting forth a policy to establish procedures for scheduling block parties in the borough that requires a road closure. Whereas during the spring and summer, it is not uncommon for neighbors to get together and enjoy warm weather, and whereas requests have been made from time to time to hold block parties, allowing for socializing among neighbors. Whereas block parties generally require the closure of the street for a period of time that the block party event is held. Whereas the borough wishes to establish clear and consistent policies and guidelines for the scheduling of such block parties. Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of Borough of Parkside, hereby resolves by the authority of the same to request, 1, to request permission to close a street for a block party. The applicant must complete a block party request form and submit $50 refundable deposit to the borough. The applicant shall also provide proof to the borough secretary that the persons or persons desiring to use the municipal public street for a block party shall have obtained public liability insurance in the amount of no less than $1 million, which provides coverage for any injuries sustained by a person or persons while participating in a social event or activities. The block party request form shall provide the following information. I didn't know it was a 3-pager, my apologies. Location, date, beginning times, rain dates if applicable, contract person's name, address, telephone number, signed petition of neighbors and names and addresses. The petition form should be signed by the majority of the affected households on the block, regardless of whether they will be attending. Application form and petition should be submitted to the police department and the fire marshal's office in person, by mail or fax, at a minimum of 2 weeks prior to the event, in order to guarantee barricades and road closures. Applications received after that date will not be considered. If the road closure is approved, barricades will be delivered to the contact person's residence. They will be picked up on the first business day following the event. Annual reoccurring events will not be considered as guaranteed. Applications and petitions must be submitted annually. The highway department will deliver the barricades to the contact person and pick up the barricades on the first business day following the event. It is expected that most block parties will likely be scheduled on the weekends. In that case, all barricades will be delivered on Friday afternoon and picked up Monday morning. When the police department and the fire marshal's office approves the request for the block party, it will provide the applicant with a permit, copy of which will be provided to the highway department. An applicant will be required to submit a $50 deposit to the borough that will be refundable provided the barricades are returned and the streets are clean of trash. Resolved this day, the 28th of July, 2021.
Thank you. And attached to that resolution is an application for a block party and also a form in which residents can submit their name and address.
Appendix A.
Would you like to entertain a motion? Would you like to have a motion?
Madam President, I would like to entertain a motion to adopt Resolution 1835 regarding block parties in the borough.
Second.
Any questions on the resolution?
Madam President,
Yes.
if I may. And this carries on over to 1836 and 1835. I would call the attention of council to sections 1 on both of the resolutions. Why are we charging the citizens an application fee for using something that they're already paying for in their taxes? This is tantamount to me to charging somebody for using their own land or their own stuff. And I would like the council to reconsider this application fee. I certainly understand a fee for if there's trash left on the street, if there are barricades left on the street, I can understand all that. But to charge, because people want to have a black party, get together and recreate themselves on the streets of the town, I see no reason why we have to charge them an application fee just for that.
It's a it's refundable deposit, and that means if the barricades are stolen, the person holding the event would be responsible for the barricades, which I'm sure you know are expensive.
I understand
If somebody
that.
knocks down a street sign because the bounce house got away from them.
But you're already asking them, I think it's, in one of these things, you're also asking them to submit an additional $75.
No, it's just one.
Just the other one.
No, it's
That's
just,
1836,
That's
Mayor.
different. That's different.
It's a
yeah,
whole different,
we're talking two different resolutions.
But in both resolutions, you're asking the application fee, just to file the application.
It's refundable.
And why then are you going to even charge them the fee
It's
if it's refundable?
It's refundable because of the cost of the barricades, any destruction to the roads. Again, if somebody gets out of hand and knocks over a stop sign, our stop signs are approximately $85 just for the sign, not including the pole.
Okay, but in 1835,
Well, can
I
we-
call your attention to section 7, where it says the applicant will be required to submit a $50 deposit to the borough that would be refunded provided the boroughs are returned and the streets cleaned or trashed. It's two separate, at least in 35, it's two separate fees. I think if you're going to charge the $50 to protect the streets and the equipment, fine. But just to charge somebody $75 in order to file an application to use something that they pay taxes for anyway seems to me a little bit out of
you're
line.
talking two different
Yeah, that's a
resolutions.
different resolution.
One at a time, please.
One at a time. At Resolution 1835, number 1 on the resolution, number 7 reiterates what number 1 is.
Well,
It's 1B that is refundable as long as the barricades are returned, as long as any cones are returned, stop signs are not damaged, as long as we're not having to send Ryan out to pick up a street load of trash, that's what it's refundable, and that's why we put in a figure of $50.
Okay, I will accept your explanation on that, but I think if you read further into this, you will see that it is two separate application fees.
I will ask our solicitor who helped draw this up.
It is one application fee, and it's a $50 refundable fee.
Any other questions on the motion?
Madam President,
Yes, sir.
effective date. We have a block party that has been previously approved for
It will-
mid-August. I don't remember the
It will be
exact
exempt.
date. Okay, very good.
It will be grandfathered in. Any other questions on Resolution 1835 alone?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So we're going to require anybody who wants to hold a block party that they have liability insurance in the amount of $1 million for any block parties.
Yes, because you're on our property, technically you're on the road. If you were having this in your front yard and you were not on the street, which is the borough-owned street, then it would not be an issue. We go through the same thing. If you get a rider for a one-day event, a one-day promotional event, it's relatively inexpensive off of your homeowners. If you have somebody who's having a block party in the middle of the street, breaks a leg because they feel the road may be uneven, there might be a slight divot in the road, then they can come back and sue us for that.
Did Councilman Swigert initiate this
We
resolution?
talked about this at the last meeting in June, and our solicitor has drawn this up to coincide with some of the ordinances I had discussed about when we were going through all the insurance policies, to see that several of our things are not in place in coordination with our insurance carrier.
Have we had problems in the past with people leaving large amounts of trash or breaking legs?
I have no information. I'd have to ask that the police reports.
Because I just don't even see why this has come up, because I understand you want to say it's because of the insurance. It seems to me it's more trying to respond to the event that was blockaded last time when the ladies were trying to have the event with the ferries, which turns out Lisa Catania wanted pictures from it because it was good for us getting
I think
grants.
that if you had remembered what I said in June, I have been reviewing, and I reported it again this evening, I have been working with our insurance carrier agent to review all insurance policies. You heard tonight, I hope, that we have received $9,000 back from the insurance company through adjustments. One of the things that the carrier and I talked about during the month of June was some of our policies required specific forms which we had not had in place. And I mentioned that in June. It has nothing to do with any ferry event, of which I did not get a ferry. It was too hot that day. But we have been trying.
Have one for you.
Oh, thank you.
Great segue. They have lots of
Thank you.
berries.
As I reported in June, the month of June, I worked with our carrier on numerous calls on numerous policies. Our due date for renewal was August 1st. These are some of the things that were not brought up to speed as per our carrier so that we can be in compliance with their rules and regulations of the insurance carrier themselves. And I also said, if you remember in June, that we will move forward with these different forms as soon as I go through the liabilities and the different policies with the agent as I did.
Would it be possible for the agent to come speak with us at some point?
I'm not sure what the agent would say that I can, since I've been dealing with her for over a month,
Well.
or 6 weeks now.
You know,
Any other questions on the resolution, which we're dealing with is 1835?
I agree with Councilman Guy and Mayor Dietman. I think we should vote no on this.
Well, we haven't voted. I'm asking for questions on resolution 1835. If there's no other questions, Mrs. Higgins, would you do a roll call vote?
Councilwoman Guy? No. Councilman Sidlow?
No.
Councilman Swidert's not here. Councilman Long?
Yes.
Councilman Capabianco?
Yes.
Vice President Ball?
Yes.
President Percival?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Moving on now, Vice President, would you like to talk about resolution 1836?
Thank you, Madam President. Resolution number 1836, resolution of the Borough of Parkside, Delaware County, Pennsylvania, establishing new regulations and new fee schedule governing the use of parks, playgrounds, and recreation centers in the borough. Whereas the Borough Council of the Borough of Parkside wishes to establish new regulations and a new fee schedule governing the use of parks, playgrounds, recreation centers in the borough, and whereas Section 126-11W of the Parkside Borough Code authorizes Borough Council to adopt by resolution additional regulations governing the use of parks, playgrounds, recreation centers, and impose such fees, therefore, as deemed appropriate. Now therefore be it resolved and enacted that the following regulations and fee schedule are hereby adopted, assessed, imposed, and levied. All resolutions and ordinances wherein for, like that one, adopted and applicable hereto are hereby amended to conform herewith. Number 1, 126-2, permit required for use of park, proof of insurance, fee. Any group of 5 or more persons wishing to use the park for recreation or social purposes to conduct a rally or other gathering of individuals shall obtain a permit of use of the park by completing the application for permit for use of a park and mailing the application or delivering to the application of the Borough Secretary at least 10 days prior to the date of which the applicant desires use of the park. The application shall be accompanied by a payment of application fee of $75, which the fee shall be paid to the Borough Secretary simultaneously with the submission of the application for the permit to use the park. Borough Secretary, that persons or persons desiring to use the park for recreation or social purposes or to conduct a rally, other gatherings, shall have obtained a public liability insurance in the amount of not less than $1 million, which provides coverage for any injuries sustained by any persons while participating in the recreational or social event or activity. Permit required, 126-6, permit required for use of recreation center, purchase of insurance, fee. Any persons or persons desiring to use a recreation center to conduct any type of athletic contest or sporting event of any kind shall first obtain a permit of use for the recreation center by completing an application for a permit for use of recreation center and mailing or delivering the application to the Borough Secretary at least 45 days prior to the date on which the applicant desires the use of the recreation center, simultaneously with the submission of the application. The applicant shall also pay the application fee and shall provide the Borough Secretary proof that the person or persons desiring the use of recreation to conduct any type of athletic contest or sporting event of any kind shall have obtained the public liability insurance in the amount not less than $1 million, which provides coverage for any injuries sustained by any persons while participating in a sports event or athletic contest. Number 3, all sections and parts of Chapter 126 of the Parkside Borough Code entitled Parks and Recreation shall remain in full force and effect. The aforementioned regulations, insurance requirements, and fee schedule may be modified or amended at any time by the Parkside Borough Council through the adoption of a subsequent resolution. Resolved and enacted this 28th day of July 2021. Well, once we vote on it.
You can make a motion.
Make a motion to adopt Resolution 1836.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any questions on the motion?
Yeah, I think we should waive that $75 fee and go like we did on 1835 where it could be refundable. It's just in case if any of the benches get broke down there, there's trash or anything like that, because the taxpayers are paying to use that down there. But just to put down the down payment in case something breaks or the trash is down there, why should our road crew go down there and clean up the mess? And that's only why I say that.
It needs to be amended then
Yes.
to have the word refundable put in
Yes.
there.
Motion to amend.
Would you amend, please?
Motion to amend Resolution 1836, 1-126-2 to make the payment on application fee fully refundable.
Unless there's damages to
Yeah.
it.
All right, we can take the easy way out, unless there's damage to borough property.
Amateur trash.
Damages or trash.
Yeah.
Do we still have a second?
Second.
Any questions on the motion?
Again, we're requiring the $1 million of insurance. And I mean, in the past, that was just for the school field, and that was $100,000, and there was none required to use the woodlot. But now we're gonna add that to the woodlot and make it $1 million for the field, right?
It's borough property. We had to have insurance on it.
Doesn't the borough have
President Percival just
insurance?
explained
I
that.
just,
I know, doesn't the borough have
Not your turn.
insurance?
yes, the borough insurance carrier, as I explained in June, and I'm going to do it one more time, has required that all events, and if you check with other municipalities, as I said in June, all municipalities for using their property require $1 million liability.
They don't actually,
You
we
can,
checked.
I would check with some of the municipalities.
I did.
And what do they require?
They don't.
I would
Most of them.
suggest you contact Mr. Mike Syak at Upland Borough. He, I'm sure, will continue to say the same as I do. We have the same insurance carrier. Or Brookhaven Borough.
No, Brookhaven does not. I did speak to them.
All right, moving on, that was a question on the motion. We will keep the $1 million the $1 million coverage for any injury sustained by any person or persons while participating on our property as per our insurance carrier. Any other questions on the motion to pass and adopt 1836?
I think 5 people is too few to require.
That's the original ordinance states that.
Okay, well, we can change the ordinance. We can make it more than 5 people. I think 15 people or 20 people is a more reasonable number. 5 people is, I mean, that's a family of 5 coming to have a picnic in the park. I mean, that's not, you know, I think people don't have to plan 10 days ahead of time and get a permit to have 5 people go and hang out at the woodlot. I think 5 people is too few, and again, I think this is a problem without a solution, that doesn't even need a solution. This is just making the lives of our citizens difficult and making the use of our community more difficult.
Any other questions or comments? Would anybody like to address Mr. Sidlow's 5 people?
I would raise it 10. We want
We
10.
need to amend the motion,
Okay.
Mr. Vice President
15.
Bull.
15.
Probably two.
Go 15.
I
Madam
suggest
President,
10.
I would like to make a motion to
I'm sorry.
amend.
I make a motion to table it.
Second.
The table overrides.
We have a motion on the floor. Vice President?
Motion to amend Resolution 1836 to amend the amount of people allowed to congregate without an insurance rider to, did we agree 15?
15.
I suggest 10,
I would say 10 and make it in the middle.
in the middle of the
Middle.
ground. Nick,
10,
Go with 10.
10 people.
second on the motion.
Second.
Second.
Mrs. Higgins, would you do a roll call vote, please, on the amended motions?
Okay, Councilwoman Guy,
What are we voting on now
We're
here?
voting on Resolution 1836,
With the amendment.
which amends any group of 10 people. The damages or trash is a refundable fee of $75.
All right, so wait, we're voting on the amendment or we're voting on the resolution? On the amendment?
amended.
Amended
motion.
motion.
I vote yes for the amendment. I don't vote for I don't vote for the resolution.
You can't
You
vote.
can't-
Well, no,
Then I vote no.
an amendment has to pass, and then a resolution has to pass.
We do the amendment first,
Correct.
and
I
then
ju-
the resolution.
I just think for a point of order, we can do a motion to adopt the amended resolution with those 2 amendments that have been articulated to by Mr. Bull.
Mrs. Higgins?
Okay.
No.
Councilman Sidlow.
No.
Councilman Smock is not here. Councilman Long.
Yes.
Councilman Capabianco.
Yes.
Vice President Ball.
Yes.
President Percival.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right. Do we have to go back and
So necessary.
we're good?
No,
Would you make-
I will tweak those on the computer tomorrow, and then they can be executed by the council president and the borough secretary shortly thereafter.
Thank you. I don't believe Mr. Councilman Schweiger had anything else. If we can move on to licensing inspections with Councilman Long.
Thank you, Madam President. For the permits issued, we have for building residential was 12, commercial 0, plumbing residential 0, commercial 0, Mechanical, residential 0, commercial 0. Electrical, residential 4, commercial 0. Use and occupancies, inspections were completed. There were 8. Re-inspections completed, 2. And street opening permits issued, 1.
Any questions for Councilman Long? Did Mr. Powers leave a report? Moving on to the finance report, Vice President Bull.
Thank you, Madam President. I would like to make a motion to accept the treasurer's report.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? So moved.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to make a motion to pay the bills.
Second.
Any questions on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? So moved.
Thank you, Madam President. Moving along to the woodlot project, with the support of Councilman Capabianco and the engineer, they've worked together on getting a sign for us down at the woodlot. I believe it has all the proper documentation and things like that, and then we have subsequently talked about a sign that would have the actual address of 99 Park Valley Lane, in case anybody did need to call 911 or something of that sort. They at least have an address now to respond to. So I don't know what the fee for that would be, but I would make a motion to, what do you think, $100 to get a sign that has the address and things like that? I'd like to make the motion for $100 to have a sign that has the actual physical address that someone could call in an emergency for police response.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any questions on the motion?
You want me to order that sign if it passes?
Yes, please.
What was more to say on there, 99 Park Valley?
Park Valley Lane.
99 Park Valley Lane?
Parkside, Pennsylvania, 19015.
Yeah.
Anybody else have any questions on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? So moved.
Thank you, Madam President. I would like to move to the recreation report.
Please.
Councilman Swaggart sent me a message apologizing that he was stuck in traffic above Allentown. And the brief report says that the 4th of July bike parade went very well. Kona Ice was present, and the rec committee is currently working on the Christmas party. The next meeting will be August 11th at 7 p.m. In the Borough building. And that is
I'm sorry, what was that date?
August 11th,
August. At what time?
7 p.m.
Thank you.
Did he leave you a budget figure as to what's left in his annual budget in his report?
No, ma'am.
Okay. I specifically asked for that, but we'll move on. Recycling MS4, Councilman Capabianco.
Thank you, Madam President. Trash collected for the month was 110 tons, and recycling was 6 tons. That's it.
Super. Did the tax collector leave us a report?
He did not.
Wonderful. Engineers report, Ms. Catania.
Thank you, Madam President. I do have, and this will be paid by the county Office of Housing and Community Development under Community Development Block Grant, invoice number 1 to Lenai Electric in the amount of $25,855.20. We will forward that, once I have the signatures, forward that to Office of Housing and Community Development for payment. The road program, in speaking with Gessler, who is the low bid on that project and has a contract with the borough, they are expecting their schedule in September timeframe. They're finishing up some school district projects that they have. Obviously, they need to get those done before school starts, so they're looking in September. I also had our mechanical engineer come take a look at the building with regard to the HVAC system over in the police station. Unbeknownst to me, we thought that those units were from 2012. That's when they were installed. However, there was new coil and heat exchanger that was replaced in 2019. So what they are suggesting is that there be a full PM done, preventive maintenance done, an evaluation of that particular unit. They feel that, in particular, the outside air dampers are not operational, but they can't verify that. So they're asking that Borough Council have their ERS, have them come and do a full maintenance on the unit. That being said, they are currently working on, they did all the calculations, by the way. The units are sized properly, and they are currently calculating for the fans that will be temperature regulated so that when it gets hot in the attic, they will go on to reduce the temperature up there. So that's the plan with the HVAC system. The Edgemont Avenue storm sewer, I am the bearer of bad news, unfortunately. We've been working probably over the last 4 months with complaints of sinkholes along Edgemont Avenue. And PennDOT has been coming in and filling in the holes so that the road is passable. We last week had General Sewer come in. They did a video inspection of the line. There's about 600 feet of line that is corrugated metal, most of which there is no bottom left in that pipe. It has rotted out. Some places it's up to 9 o'clock and 3 o'clock. So we're missing the bottom, and the rest of it is corroded away. I have not done any, I don't have any drawings of that because it's a state highway. All of those, the pipe was installed by PennDOT. However, PennDOT in 1991 did what they call a strike-off letter and has put the responsibility of replacing the storm sewer and any inlets underground, so anything that is underground, as the responsibility of the municipality in which the state highway is located, which puts the responsibility on the borough to do the replacement. Based on a number of $180 a lineal foot for that pipe to remove and replace, I estimated that the pipe work alone is about $130,000. That does not include the traffic controls that will need to be done. And it does not include any of the engineering, because we have to provide plans to PennDOT for PennDOT to review under a permit in order for us to be allowed to do this pipe replacement in the road. It seems like a vicious circle. What I suggested to President Percival when I spoke with her on Friday was that we have a plea to State Representative Kirkland to see if we can get some assistance from PennDOT. Otherwise, we either use that money, we go for possibly a small sewer water grant, which won't take place until next year, which means that we're going to be experiencing more and more and potentially hazardous condition with the pipes eventually, and I don't say it's going to be tomorrow, collapsing over the weight, in particular because you have tractor trailers and heavy machinery and vehicles that are going over that. It is not an imminent danger, so I just want to make sure that everybody, I don't want anybody leaving here and saying that the road's going to collapse and some car's going to go in it. We do have the potential over time, if we don't get this fixed, for that to happen. Interestingly, the PennDOT's come in and done some work. It's very cosmetic, and they will do the grates on an inlet, but they will not do anything with the pipe. So I understand that Mayor Dietman and I are going to try to plead with the powers that be that would have a little bit more of a influence over the PennDOT. I don't know how far we'll get, quite frankly. I've been fighting this in every municipality that I represent, and we're not getting anywhere. The only other alternative I have for you is that we just decide that we're going to make Edgemont Avenue one lane and repetition that. We'll see how long that takes. Again, these are just alternatives that I don't think are actually feasible, or actually shutting down the road to try to get some action.
That has my vote.
Yeah, I'm not so
I mean,
sure.
whatever we have
I'm
to
not
do
so
to
sure
get
the residents
PennDOT.
would be real happy about that.
No, I know. The mayor and I were talking, there's no way for tractor trailers, SEPTA, equipment that has flatbeds on it, to get around any of our streets to make any of the turns. You can come up West Garrison, you hit Tom Sweeney, a SEPTA bus, a tractor trailer, triaxle pull and a lowboy, you're not gonna make that turn, you're gonna be stuck.
Yeah, we would actually have
So-
to do a detour plan, and
Yes.
that detour plan would be on state highways, so it would
Wouldn't
be,
PennDOT be responsible for that?
no,
No?
no,
Aren't they responsible for the flaggers? Is there a
No.
highway? No.
no.
Oh, my.
That is all on the
Unfortunately, it's all on
municipality.
us.
So,
That's why I'm so panicked.
Mm.
that's the status. I'm so lucky that I get to present that to you. But unfortunately, that's the reality of the situation. We'll move forward, see what we can get done with possibly Senator Kane and
This is going to be held off till next year?
I don't know that we can.
We can't.
Wait
Did you
that
see
long.
the photos?
No.
I just sent the observation photos from the video. Anybody that wants to see the video, I can certainly, the only excitement is when you have a frog or a spider or something in the line. But it's certainly available if anybody would like to review it.
If you haven't seen the photos, you get the top of a pipe being round, you get the top of the pipe, then you get some of the side, you get some of the little side here, and then there's dirt, mud, fluids,
Stone, yeah.
stones.
Look at bad colostomy going bad.
Yeah.
This is a project that needs to be done sooner rather than later.
So this is a stormwater pipe?
This
A
is
sewer
a
pipe?
storm sewer pipe. I had, before we expended dollars with General Sewer, I asked Delcora, because there is a Delcora sanitary line along that particular area as well. They did a video, they did not find that their line is compromised. As a matter of fact, one of the manholes that shows that it is a sanitary sewer is actually a storm sewer. So someone placed a sanitary manhole cover, so sanitary on it, on our storm sewer. As well, there's also two manholes that when it was last repaved, or I'm assuming when it was last repaved, at some point in time when the road was repaved, were buried. So there are two manholes that you don't see out there that are in the roadway. So that's where we are with Edgemont Avenue. I completed the bid documents for the trash and recycling. Linda, did you send them out to all of council?
I did.
Okay. So the bid documents are pretty extensive. There are 6 alternatives. We have our typical schedule as we have currently. It's a 3-year contract. I've done some things that we've done in the past that we didn't do the last time, in that just for out of a whim, let's see what it is to have a pickup solely one time a week during the winter months, and during the summer months twice a week, just to see what kind of numbers we get, just for a good alternative, if it is a good alternative, but we won't know until we have those prices. Otherwise, I have bulk pickup. One of the things that you do here is that the current trash collector is taking bulk whenever you put it out.
Fridays.
And that is actually costing you money because you are paying for the weight of all of that. What we have found in other municipalities is people are bringing trash in from other municipalities. Most of the municipalities allow for possibly 2 items, and then you have to pay for the others. So just as an alternative, I also put that we would do bulk trash pickup solely twice a year. So we would have a spring and a fall cleanup where you would be able to put bulk trash out. Again, to try to get a pretty good idea of how we can be fiscally responsible in our trash pickups. So that's that particular issue. The last one that I have is really a notification, and if there are any ideas for this, we have a very short window to get this done, but County Council has made notification of the Phase 2 of the Greenways grant. As you are aware, we have 25% we were awarded a grant on the Greenways grant for Phase 1 for West Cole. Probably at the end of July is what it says on the website. We should be hearing about the Make PA Beautiful grant. That's a pretty quick turnaround for that grant. There are actually 2 grant possibilities. You can put 2 grants in. They have a mini grant. That mini grant is solely for plan, like master plan design. Parkside Borough is eligible for that. It's non-competitive. And so if you were interested in looking at where we stand with Woodlot or where we stand with West Cole for a master plan, or for that matter, and I think this is a better idea, is to have a master open space and recreation plan done for the entire community, so that if there is a couple pieces of property that may be under a judicial sale or on the repository list, you may get those and come to possibly be able to add to your recreation areas. You only have, if you want to call it 3, West Cole, the Woodlot, and Elk Island, which is really just a heroes memorial that's there that's never been finished. That may be our next Pico Green Region grant application. But the deadline for that is in September. We have to have a resolution done, so that will have to be done in August. If you're interested, you can put 2 applications in to enhance the park. I don't know that we would be able to use it for tree removal and invasives removal. I'd have to check with Steve Beckley to see if that's even eligible under the grant. But if anybody has any ideas, throw them out, and we'll determine whether or not it's something that is feasible.
I personally love the idea of open space and recreation. If we can apply, and it's a no match, the Greenway grants are not a matching grant.
That's correct.
And if we can get any type of free money, I mean, everybody knows how cheap I am. Everybody, we can get free money, it's free money. If we could make the deadline of September for an open space and recreation grant, why not?
Well, that would be a plan. So you
Okay,
would end
for the
up
plan.
with a study group or a task force that would sit down with the consultant and determine what you're missing, so that you have all-inclusive recreation, where there's areas that there's a potential for recreation, where you're missing recreation in particular areas. So the positive thing, I think, with County Councilor, what Ann Faust from, not Ann Faust, Ann Faustus from Sea Grant, Steve Beckley from the county mentioned, is that the county is looking for people to come up with master plans so that it gives municipalities the ability to go for other grants because you've put some forethought into it for your master planning. So that's where we are. Okay?
Do you have a sample resolution you could send over to
They've
Linda?
given us the sample resolution.
Is everybody comfortable with going for an open space recreation plan to this grant?
Absolutely. We need to have a roadmap as to what we should be looking to improve and what we shouldn't be improving. I think we do things very ad hoc on this part, on
And
this
it's
council.
free money. Councilman Councilman Capabianco, would you check with ERS to do a full maintenance on that unit?
Sure will.
And I know they have all our records. Does anybody have any questions on the form of proposal for the trash bid, which we will do next month? Well, actually, we'll entertain that. My question is to Ms. Catania, would we get a better deal if we go with a 4-year contract versus a 3?
I was debating whether we wanted to do a 3 or a 5. I have municipalities that are doing 5, so we don't know. I haven't
How high it's
heard
going to go?
anything about how high it's going to go, right? It won't be that difficult to put a 5-year plan in there.
Is council okay doing a 5-year plan?
It's paid off in the past.
Yeah.
All right, let's move it up to 5 years. We may be able to get a better deal. Does anybody have any questions on the trash bid proposal form? This is a form we were all given.
Yeah, the base bid says the 3-year period beginning January 1 and going to December 31, 2024. It doesn't say how many times a week. Should that say 2 times a week there?
No, the specification
Right.
that goes with it actually is 2 times a week. Wednesday, it has all of that information, what holidays we don't, if there is a holiday that they have to pick up the next day. It's all spelled out in a bid document.
So there's a cover letter, there's a document.
It's actually a booklet
I
that,
see.
that has all the boilerplate that they have to do, as well as, this is just the form of proposal that I wanted to get in front, so that everybody is okay with some of the things that we haven't done. I think probably 10 years ago, we did something like this. We didn't do it with the last contract that we had.
So alternate number 2 is, alternate number 1 is curbside recycling twice a month. And that's with the tipping fee included. And then alternate number 4 is we pay the tipping fee.
We're paying the tipping fee, and that was something that came up with, what can I think of our,
Laxton?
no, it's not
No,
Laxton, I can't think of who the name, who's so
B&L.
new?
B&L.
B&L. I'm thinking H&H, and I knew H&H wasn't right, B&L. Something that B&L had suggested the last time we put bids out, so I continued that.
Yeah, no, I think that's strong.
I think us paying the tipping fee may be an issue, but.
Yeah.
Well, let's see what
Well, we'll see what it
let's
is.
see what comes back.
Let's see what comes in. Any other questions concerning this form only, the form?
It just drove up the overall cost
Yes.
of what they were bidding because they had no idea what the tipping fee was gonna be. So
Right.
we had that fixed on
They were
our end.
guesstimating.
It's for, because it has gone up so much in the last few years.
So,
The reality is, though, when they get a break on it, we're not seeing
We're not
that
getting
credit. So it's important for them, when they're putting numbers together, to be covered, but as well, not to be high that they're not going to get the project. Right?
so in that situation, we would choose the recycling center and they would take the recycling to that recycling
That's
center?
correct, and that's
Wherever
going to be
we chose?
difficult.
Okay. Why is that difficult?
Because you can't find recycling centers that will take a lot of the commingled anymore, the single stream.
Okay.
Because of the plastic, they're not taking that, right?
So should we have a bid that says sorted recycling?
We could do that, but the education of getting people, I mean, they're used to single stream now. So we would probably have to go back out to do a extremely extensive education program that, no, we're doing glass, we're doing metal, we're not doing plastic. So I don't know that it's going to be beneficial I think that if we're going to do that, we've got to do that like 2 years before to get people to understand that we're now only going to do, say, newspaper or metal and glass.
And it's very difficult for people to change the way that they've been doing things. And even if we can educate them, we still find that people are not recycling correctly and throwing pizza boxes in there and things
Right.
that they shouldn't.
You can't use,
Or
you
actually
can't,
trash bags.
you can't put plastic bags. You should
Right.
not be putting your supermarket plastic bags. You should not be putting your recycling in plastic bags. That is not recyclable. When they get to wherever they're taking that recycling, if they dump it and they find that it's there, you are penalized. You get a surcharge for that being in the stream. So, we've fought this battle for, gosh, since our
Years.
Czarina started this, since Terry Doherty started this many
Yeah.
years ago.
Many years.
But I don't know that we can get people to change that quickly. I think we're going to have to do something a little bit similar to what we're doing now, and then over time, looking at what the markets are going to bear, whether we go to sorted trash or sorted recycling.
So one of the things that I had proposed last month was asking for kind of a written statement about calculating the price per ton of recycling based on valuation. Are we able to request a floating price per ton?
What we're going to do is entertain a motion to have the engineer bid this project out, which would be a 5-year proposal to give us the numbers. The only way we can see specific numbers is to actually bid out this trash collection.
So, right now, I think trash is, and Mark might be able to help me more, but
$90.
trash is, I didn't think it was that high, but if it's $90 and your recycling is up at about 130 from what I hear at some of the other meetings, so, it's costing more for recycling. That's why we need to make sure that everybody's on track with what they should be putting in a recycling stream.
And it was mentioned tonight by Councilman Long, or Councilman Capabianco rather, that we only recycled 6 tons for last month. That's a little low, but anyhow. I'd like to entertain a motion to have the engineer prepare and process bids for our trash contract being 5 years, so that we can take bids and have it for our budget meeting in September.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any questions on the motion?
I have one. There was a number of years ago where we had bid it at 3 and then gave them a guarantee 5% for 4. I don't remember if it was 3% or 5%. So I don't know if that would help us get people to lock in, because I would be very hesitant to lock in on a contract that was 5 years long, even though it does benefit us. So have you seen that in other towns where they say it's a 5-year contract, you're bidding it for 3, you'll get an option at 4 and 5 at 5% up, 5% up?
I have not. What we could do is do 4 and 5, and at the time, say 6 months prior to the final 3rd year, or the end of the contract, there could be a negotiated number, right? You can do that, so that you have that percentage for year 4 and 5. So we can change that language in the bid document that says that within the 6-month period that there will be a negotiation for years 4 and 5. They won't put a specific number on the sheet.
I mean, Madam President, could we entertain that as part of the motion? It has worked for us in the past.
If it is financially beneficial to us, most definitely. if Councilman Capabianco would like to amend his motion to make it beneficial. As we all know, the trash fee is passed on to our residents. Anything that we can do to help to keep that amount down, if that would be beneficial, we could work that out. Councilman
Yeah,
Capabianco?
let's amend that to what Doug has suggested, to save the taxpayers money.
Make it a 3-year with
Yeah.
the possibility of a 4th and 5th.
And if you can't negotiate that number,
Then
it
it'll
gives
go
us
back.
still time to go out for bid.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
I'll have a second on the
Can
amendment.
I have a question though on this.
Sure.
On the contract, is there something that's in there that if we have an issue with the trash company, with the residents, that we can get out of, or they're held liable for it?
They are,
We've had some instances.
there can be no vulgar language, there can, it's pretty extensive of things that we hold them to.
That we can hold them liable for.
Yeah.
And there's penalty provisions.
That's
in
what,
there.
and I guess
We
that's
need
the
to
word.
have a penalty provision
Yes,
in the
because
contract.
just recently, we've had some issues.
Yeah,
Good
So-
idea. When we do the contract, let's make sure there's a penalty.
yes.
Do I have a second on the amended
I'll
motion?
second.
Mrs. Higgins, could you do a roll call, please?
I certainly will, so that I can do the work.
Take your time.
I said, road crew going to do the striking in West Elmont, and they do the roads over.
No,
The pedestrian.
No.
I'm gonna have to bring that up.
no, before you say that, we need to paint.
Councilwoman Guy,
Yes. Having trouble finding the road.
Councilman Sidlow,
Aye.
Councilman Swiger's not here, Councilman Long,
Yes.
Councilman Capabianco.
Yes.
Vice President Bolt,
Yes.
President Percival.
Yes. We'll be able to take and review all the bids under the recommendation of the engineer for low bidder of the various scenarios in August council meeting, so we'll be ready for the budget in September. Any other questions, or Mrs. Catania, did you?
I am done.
You're tired?
Can
I think it's the friggin' potholes.
we go back to the air conditioning for a minute?
Does anybody have any questions for Ms. Catania?
Yes. So, if we're pricing a new system,
We are not.
we are not.
We are not.
Good.
We are working with the existing system, sized properly. There is a new unit. What we need to do is have a PM on it, get the report from ERS to determine what is going on in particular with the dampers and make sure that everything is running properly. So right now, once ERS comes in, does their report, that'll go to my mechanical engineer. He'll take a look and make recommendations for what needs to be done. But we are not looking at a new unit because we've just expended money for the work that was done in 2019.
Good, okay. And then, so, in terms of exhaust fans for exhausting heat out of the attic, from a building science perspective, the better solution is to air seal and insulate the ceiling so that the heat in the summer does not penetrate the attic. It does not penetrate the ceiling plane and go into the police station, as opposed to exhausting it out. When you exhaust out, all you do is suck the cool air from the police station into the attic, and then that increases your air conditioning bill.
Mr.
Would you-
Sidler, I believe our engineer and their HVAC people understand what you're saying. And the fans, which she did report on, would be temperature regulated. So I honestly feel that we should leave this in the good hands of our
I think
engineer.
at this point, Mr. Sidlow, I can tell you that the last time I did HVAC design was over 30 years ago.
Yeah.
So I do not purport to know, I mean, I understand the systems, but these are younger engineers that are more energy conscious in their energy design, in their designs. They're LEED certified, so they'll know how to get it done, that it makes the most sense economically as well as
Comfort.
operationally. Okay?
Let's move on to the Solicitors Report, Mr. Wells.
Thank you, Madam President. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Just have two brief issues to report. Number one, as Borough Council is aware, our collective bargaining agreement with the FOP will in fact terminate at the end of the year. As of last week, I forwarded to the FOP a list of borough contract proposals. We are also in receipt of proposed contract proposals from the FOP. I am coordinating with their attorney and expect to have a meeting sometime in the middle of August, our first negotiation session. Present with me will be members of that police negotiation committee, and I will advise the committee when that meeting has been scheduled and coordinated. Second brief issue, as council is aware, there has been a county-wide property tax reassessment of every tax parcel here in the county of Delaware. The deadline to file a tax assessment appeal for 2022 will be next Monday, August the 2nd. That appeal must be filed, of course, at the Delaware County Board of Assessment Appeals, the Delaware County Courthouse. There is no filing fee this year, so if a resident feels that their new assessment does not comport with the fair market value of their property, again, they can file a property tax assessment appeal. There is no filing fee, but at the time of the hearing, they will be required to have a state certified appraisal report. That obviously evaluates their property and provides a fair market value. They won't work on oral or hearsay testimony. Obviously, they will require an appraisal report or a recent sale, right, that occurred within the last year. If your property was recently purchased in the last year and you have a copy of the property deed and the HUD-1 settlement statement, that would also be sufficient. So later next month, I should have an idea of how many property tax appeals were filed here in the Borough of Parkside. Other than that, Madam President, I can report general progress.
Any questions on that subjects for the solicitor? Moving on, ladies and gentlemen, at this time we have called a citizens. If you'd like to address council with a governmental question, please step to the podium and give your name and your address, and you have 3 minutes to discuss whatever you would like within reason.
Hi, my name is Ashley Roberts. I'm at 118 East Avon. I intend to be very brief because I don't have too much to report. But I just wanted to announce publicly a project that is in the works, inspired by Hayden Radel, who moved here this year and put out into the social media channels that he would like to put on a concert in thanks for first responders, frontline workers throughout this pandemic. We have our police department, our fire department, but also we have residents in our town who are nurses, teachers, social workers, anyone who's really been on the front line through, it's so cliche at this point, but this very unprecedented time. So thank you to Mayor Deepman for hearing us out on that. We are going to be working conjointly with the fire department to put on a concert, Johnny Cash and theme, because that's Hayden's specialty, and with some other performers as well. It will be a free event open to anyone who likes to come, but there will be other fundraising efforts to directly benefit our Parkside Fire Department. I am also just putting it out there that if anyone wants to be part of that planning, by all means contact me. This is incredibly informal, but we are just kind of doing it as a group of citizens. So, thank you.
Do you have a date?
Not yet. We're looking for the end of October, possibly early November.
Thank you.
I got a couple questions. Is that a political event you want to do? No? And it's not going to coincide with your Democratic
We
meet
discussed
and
that
greet?
already, Councilman.
I've been working jointly with Mayor Deepman. It is a group of
And it's
informal
not
citizens.
appropriate for the council meeting.
All right.
Yes, it is entirely informal.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Does somebody else wish to address council? I saw somebody else waving.
Oh, she's back.
Lisa Cosharel, 252 East Avon Road. I just had a question, or I'm not understanding this use of public space and park issue. So if, say, a group of kids, or you wanted to gather with kids to play kickball in the woodlot, you would have to submit a date in advance for that?
No, it's considered an event. If you hold an event, say, and we just amended that.
Oh, I know, I heard about the issue with like the numbers that
Right.
I got it.
If you want to hold an event, which would be considered recreation or social purposes, conducting a rally, gathering of individuals. So I think if kids want to play kickball, it's not an issue.
But, okay, I guess I'm just confused about how far in advance and like, you know, paying a fee.
45 days, I believe it says 45 days. It's the same as what the old ordinance had said as far as the time frame.
To me, that seems an excessive amount of time.
I think if you're planning an event,
But-
you need at least 30 days to plan any type of event, with food, participation. So I think 45 days is within
Well,
reason.
not all events are, you know, like you said sporting events on there too? Or,
Let me get it back.
no,
up.
I'm just trying to clarify. because-
Social purposes or conducting a rally or other gatherings,
Okay,
I don't
somehow
think-
sports came up before, so I was confused.
that is at the recreation center. That's a different section of the ordinance.
What is the recreation? Forgive me for not knowing.
That would
exactly
be the school property.
Okay,
That would encompass the field that used to be part of our
the school, so
ordinance.
basically the
That's
school
correct.
grounds. Okay, all right, I was confused about that, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So if, another person that lives in the borough and I have been talking, she's an artist, and we've talked about wanting to do a workshop for children. You know, just where they do some tie-dyeing or do some outdoor, you know, like painting and things like that. We would need to plan that 45 days in advance.
I honestly think that, as we had discussed last month about the fee being waived, there's latitude.
Okay.
If you come in, I mean, we're not,
It seems, it just
you know,
seems from
we are
listening to how you talk about
not
it, it's
so
a,
staunch of
you're
rules.
trying to dissuade people from doing things. That's what it seems to me.
We are not so
Maybe not.
staunch with rules and regulations that if you come and say, you know, I only have 30 days or 35 days and the law says 45, that we're going to turn you away. We all want participation of the community. We all want recreational events, especially for the youth of this community. I think the law and the resolutions and ordinances are there. If somebody decides to hold a
Okay.
political rally
Okay.
of 150 people,
Sure.
you know,
That makes
you're
sense.
talking apples and oranges, kids playing kickballs,
Okay.
a small
Well, when
event.
you're talking about 10 people, though, if that was the limit, that seems,
That's because the original ordinance had said that. We're
it
trying
originally
to,
said 5.
5, that's correct. We're trying to refine our
Okay.
ordinances as we go through them.
Okay. And just one more thing about the issue of the block parties. So with liability and such, so if a kid happens to be biking down a street and there's a pothole and he falls, so the city's not liable then,
Oh,
but
I'm
they
sure we
they
would
are
be.
liable if someone's having a party on the same municipal property that we all pay taxes.
Again, you're discussing apples and oranges. A child going down the street on a bike, and he falls in a pothole in which we
Okay, not biking,
we have-
walking down the street.
we have not filled. Then, of course, the parent is going to come to us and ask for help with their health insurance deductibles, and will come after our insurance carrier. When you have a block party that you have, say, 50 or 60 people attending, there may be intoxication, there might be alcoholic beverages,
That's fair.
there might be children bumping into each other with water guns and tripping. The scenarios are many, and I don't think you can equate a block party of 50 or 60 people to a child walking or using a skateboard on our streets.
But what if it's the same pothole that just,
Then we
you know.
better have filled it.
Okay, I get that, okay. And just briefly, I think that, if you could please provide for people, maybe post it somewhere on the website, the exact information, or the section of code or whatever it is, policy, code of conduct, that you think Councilman Sidlow is defying or disrespecting, if you could like print that out or like, you know, post it, because to me it seems like you're punishing him for asking questions and trying to find out information about
I don't think you understood or listened to
Okay,
what I said.
I will, and to be fair, I will go back and I will watch the video,
Thank
okay?
you.
And then, but hopefully I would love to see what exactly the part of code is that you are talking about, or code of conduct.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, because to censure him when other people have done horrifying things to other council members and in public seems,
I suggest you,
that's all I'm just gonna say, I think that that's very.
thank you. Does anybody have a question? Yes, sir. Would you give your name and your address?
Aiden Gradle, 100 West Elvin Road, second floor. I agree with Mayor Dietman on that you have to pay, what was it, $50 or $75 for a permit when we're already paying our taxes for it. To me, that's being robbed by a pen instead of a gun, in my opinion.
It's a refundable fee. Did you hear that part?
Yeah, I did,
Okay.
For many people, that's,
She's back.
but, for a lot of people, that is a lot of money.
Thank you. I appreciate your input. We got a line.
There was a line. Judy Saunders, 62 East Chelsea Road. So I wanted to thank you for letting us do the hearing. I did bring your ferries, so hold on a second. No, I gave you the barrel hole one, didn't I? Aww.
Thank you,
Thank
Judy.
you. And I will make sure to throw this away.
That will go in.
Non-recycling.
That will go in my garden, and I so appreciate everyone involved for doing it.
I'll buy one of those.
Really?
Yeah, I'll buy one of
Did you ever
those if you got
consider
extras.
selling these for garden, for people for their gardens?
No,
Or we
no,
get the
but
big
I
kick out of
have
that.
enough shrinky dinks to make signs for everybody's property.
Thank you so much.
Need any signs, let me know.
Did you make this, Ms. Owen?
Yeah.
It's like I bought and painted them.
Yeah, it
I'm
drove my
sorry.
husband nuts. We were close to divorce over the week leading up to it. But that being said, Lisa and I were considering, because it was so successful, doing something more Halloween themed going through there. Obviously not at night, because we want to make sure everybody's safe, but more of a kid-friendly kind of scary thing, and I will make sure that we comply with everything. I have my $1 million life insurance, so if anybody needs anything, I'll come along to block parties or any parties you need to have.
That's a good way to get in.
Yeah, I know, right? It's the only way I can get invited. Fee for service. Charge like $10.
Judy, thank you again. This will go in my garden. I
Oh,
really
you're welcome.
appreciate that.
I
Maybe not,
appreciate you waiving the time and waiving the fee. So
maybe not in the garden. Maybe I'll just put it in my patio. I don't want to get damaged.
Very cute.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, no, Jim Merman, 29 East Chelton Road. The West Cole project you had mentioned. Can I give a suggestion? So I planted flowers there. There's dirt, it wasn't soil, it was outright dirt. Maybe you can pull it further to the soil there for the planting and everything. However you do that. Nick, the question that you is.
Would you speak up, please, Mrs.
I'm
Roman?
sorry, the ARD?
Yes.
Can you articulate on that? Like, could I use somebody, when you do our cleaning, could somebody volunteer to do that?
Yeah, and I would have to be there to supervise it. So don't do it on the weekends. I do not work on the weekends. Anytime during the day, during the week, sure, why not?
Now, could somebody else, let's say if somebody.
No.
else
It would have to be a first council.
That's correct.
Gotta be me, and I already have vest. I already thought ahead of this. You gotta wear a safety vest. And when you're on state roads, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, council, they will coordinate with private citizens.
Does anybody else wish to address council before we move on?
Yeah, I got a suggestion.
Excuse me, would you come to the podium, please?
Yes.
And again, give us your name and your address.
Aiden Gradle, 100 West Elvin, second row.
Spell your last name, please.
Oh, Gradle, Gradel.
Just like it sounds. Thank you.
I do have a suggestion on the permit thing. Instead of $50 or $75, lower it. Is that a
Council,
possibility?
council has already passed that, and and it's a refundable.
I know it's refundable, but I'm asking.
We would probably hold the check as long as there's no damages or a money order or cash, and it would not be deposited. That's why it would be automatically returned to the recipient.
So there's no.
It already passed. That's correct. Already passed.
Judy Saunders, you guys know where I live. Hometown Heroes thing, Mr. Long, thank you for your thank you card. That was very nice. I missed the deadline. Is there any wiggle room on that?
Yes.
Thank you.
And we're going to report on that next.
Oh, excellent, because my sister and I were trying to find appropriate pictures of Chicky, and they're all kind of bare chested, holding Forest Light or whatever the hell he was drinking over in Vietnam.
We have one of those.
Okay, good, because that was the one we could find that we could pull out of the frame without ruining it. And then we found one of my dad too,
Right.
who was a resident here for 20 years. So, great, if it's extended, I'll just
Yeah.
fill that out.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
If you don't mind.
You're going to give your name and your address, and you have 3 minutes.
There we go. Okay. Mark Campbell, 241 West Shelton, right up the road from the auspicious Mr. Bull.
Okay.
I am a certified nutrition coach, and I am looking for an opportunity, just like several other people here, to provide workshops for people in the borough. It's convenient that we're talking about this year's permit. Not that it would be any kind of a large gathering or an athletic type of gathering, but I would like as many people from the town as would be interested. They would come on out. We're going to present all kinds of nutritional, educational stuff to them. Don't know exactly where I would look to hold. I'm in the beginning stages of planning it. I've been on social media. I've actually had the opportunity of talking to Ashley and several of the town's people who said, you know, man, that would be a great idea. Let's say I had 40 or 50 people that wanted to actually do this. I was kind of thinking maybe I could just do it at the fire hall in the big open room.
Perfect.
Right? And would there be anything I would have to do, permit-wise or
Please see
insurance-wise?
Mayor
I can
Diekman.
talk to you after the meeting.
He's the treasurer over at the fire company. And also, if anybody checks our ordinances, and if I'm wrong, somebody correct me, but we have rented this room, I think for $100.
Correct.
And insurances, but I'd have, don't quote me on the price, for outside vendors who wanted to hold such seminars.
Okay.
So, and again, I always tell people, look up our ordinances online, we're on E-code. So, but good luck with it.
Okay. And I'll see you at the meeting, Mr. Mayor.
Please, please see the mayor. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to move on this evening to unfinished business. It would be the Hometown Hero Program with Councilman Long. I know Councilman has to go to work shortly.
No, actually, tonight.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Madam President. We are at 29 applicants for it. When I extended the first time, we had a surge of people. And Mary Beth McGettigan back there, she and I are going to be working. We're actually just getting ready to send the files off to download the pictures and send the files to the printer. And once the printer gets them, it's only a couple of weeks. And then I'm hoping to pick a day for the dedication ceremony for all the banners, because I would like to have the residents who honored their loved ones. I want them to have a chance to look at the banner up front and get a picture with it or whatever, and just go with that before they're hung. So as soon as you can get it to me, that would be great.
I'll have it to you by the end of the week.
Okay, that'll be perfect then. Yeah, thank you. And that about covers it. I should have it probably the date by next month, and then we'll have everything done.
Can we do a small gathering?
Yes. I'm planning to, my thoughts are,
Please.
is I will contact the school to use part of their property, have it here at the Borough Hall, and have canopies set up so that we can drape the banners hanging down. I think each
Great.
canopy can hold 3 or 4.
Great.
And that way the family members can have their picture taken next to the banner, and then have a little ceremony or whatever. I'm looking to contact the VFW for bugler, and a 21 gun salute, and a non-denominational person to do a prayer. And light refreshments. Here at the
Mr.
Borough
Dave
Hall.
Schlott, who was chaplain for Brookhaven Police, you might want to contact Dave. He's also filled in as our chaplain when needed.
Somebody had mentioned his name, yes.
Okay.
So,
And
Cleary plays the.
Yeah, I got him on the line. Yep.
Officer Cleary, and cookies and juice and iced tea.
If you want to go that way, okay. I had another way. Because you know what brings the people out in Parkside?
Yes, it does.
You just saw
Wine and cheese event, folks.
cookies and tea don't cut it.
Got it. Does anybody else have any unfinished business? If not, we'll move to new business, and if no one has any new business, we'll look to adjourn.
I have something real quick.
Yes, ma'am. Under new or old?
Sure, under new. A few weeks ago, our trash company didn't come, and you had put out an announcement on a closed group. I guess I'm trying to understand why you would notify people in a closed group that won't allow many of our residents to join official announcements like our trash being late and not have it sent out as an email or put on the website or anything. It's just, it seems like there's only communication for certain special people in this town.
Mrs. Guy, that was brought to my attention after I did it, and I apologize. I think I deleted it because I did not realize what website I was on. I'm on numerous ones, and I apologize. I don't know why there was no formal announcement, because that was not my territory.
I understand.
And I apologized, and I believe I pulled that or deleted it as soon as I realized that it was a mistake.
Well, it would just be nice if everybody could get these announcements, you know,
I
because
agree.
nobody knew except apparently you. So it would be nice if the
I
rest of us
received a
did.
phone call at 7 o'clock in the morning from the owner of B&L,
Right.
explaining what the situation was. She then called me at 8:30 in the morning to tell me that they probably would not have a crew, called me again at 4:30 in the afternoon to tell me definitely they were not going to have a crew. And somewhere in between, I posted on the wrong website, and I apologize. I did pull it. I hope I deleted it from the right spot. As I said, I'm on numerous social media posts, and it was my mistake totally.
Okay, so where would you put it if you were trying to reach the whole borough?
I would have asked Councilman Capobianco to send out a phone alert. But for some reason, I was unable to reach him, or he was out of the area, or I don't know what happened that day. I think there was numerous things going on in my private life, and that's where the mistake was.
You know, if you let me know, I'm happy to post it.
Thank you.
I'm making a motion to adjourn.
Second.
There you go. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate it.